Hey there, you're listening to another episode of the Scale and Eat podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Princik, membership expert and business strategist. And today I want to talk about a very important topic for anyone who is growth oriented and trying to expand their business, perhaps from a one-on-one client situation to a group offer like a membership, especially a membership. I want to talk about automation and why automation is your very best friend and actually your most reliable assistant for your business. And I want to talk about what it is and why it's important and then how to do it in a few ways. So automation is basically getting some kind of app or integration or software talking to each other to allow transactions and tasks to happen without you having to do it. It's happening automatically without your manual effort to do each time. You've got it set up as a task that this piece of software knows to talk to this one and add this person to that thing or charge this. It's like any repetitive service that you buy, whether it's a streaming app like a Netflix or whatever that might be for you. There's going to be a trigger that every single month, without anyone having to pull any kind of button or enter in data, will actually get this payment processed and you will be able to watch your shows. So it works for people on both ends because it does guarantee a continuation of service. So it's really important for membership businesses because things like those recurring payments and all that stuff. But automation can be anything from as simple as using a calendar application to schedule appointments, which we've all been a part of, even at a personal level, all the way to more complex things like several pieces of software talking together, held together by Zaps with Zapier. So it's everywhere in our business. Like we are seeing this and we have all these things. And I know it can be easy to feel some resistance to getting all this tech going because, for one, it might feel a little overwhelming to dive into all these pieces of software that you might not love doing or love learning about because perhaps that's not your zone of genius. And it also might seem easy to just say, well, I can just do that task so quickly on my own that it doesn't seem worth it to take the time to learn how to use the software to do the thing that I know I can just do so quickly. And sometimes we're like that with assistants and getting help as well. We're just like, I can do that faster than I can teach somebody. As well as the cost, because of course, every $400 app or $30 a month recurring cost to have something done for you starts to add up at a time when you might not even be getting the volume of people in your programs to feel like you've justified the $400 that you might spend this month on that one and the $200 the next month and then another $500, and pretty soon you've spent a few $1,000s on automations that you don't even know are worth it because you don't have the volume. But here's the thing. You're never going to get the volume until you have the time to do the activities that you don't have time to do if you're busy doing all your own task automation. So it is a bit chicken or egg. And this is where commitment comes in to play because you have to really decide, am I going to be successful and run my business like it's already successful and start to invest in the things that allow you to get out and quickly do the activities that are going to make a measurable difference in getting sales. And that's that shift almost in mindset around, do I really need this? To, of course I really need this because there's no way that I can do all this on my own if I'm getting the volume of sales or growth that I really need or really want. And that's a big shift because I know I was slow to that shift. I'm the kind of person who wants to see it proved before I make a commitment. I like to see that, okay, it's obviously going in this direction and I'm seeing this pattern and I can count on it and therefore this is worth the investment. And you might get it right a lot of the time, but then you also might not get it right. So there are some things that I have bought. I'm like, I didn't really need this. I don't quite have the volume yet. For example, I put video ask on one of my sales pages, and I haven't had that much volume of people on my page asking questions using it. I've had a couple, and yes, they have converted to members. So supposedly it has paid off as an investment. However, I don't get a frequency of use. A lot of people still reply on an email, and that is an easy way for them to ask a question and for me to answer. So I don't mind that at all. But I mean, did that automation really make a big difference? I used it for testimonials a few times, but then I realized I preferred just to ask the question myself or have people just send in a written one. And so, there will be some mistakes we make in terms of what do we really need now versus what we might actually need in the future. However, without all of these things that we're investing in, we are going to get too bogged down at some times if the volume starts to come in and we can't keep up with it. And then we either get ourselves into overwhelm, fulfilling everything, or we don't grow. We just don't have time to do the marketing. And in a membership business and any kind of volume-based business or any kind of growth business, and I'm in a mastermind with a ton of people who are doing really well in their businesses. Some of them have memberships, a lot of them do, a lot of them don't. Regardless of that, they are always looking at ways to increase their sales through their marketing activities, always. And that's always going to be part of it. It's never going to end. We're always going to have space in our life, whether it's creativity time or rest time, so that we're re-inspired to see things differently and to make bigger and bolder and braver decisions and take bigger risks for our business. We're always going to need that. And if we always bog down at admin stuff, we'll never get in that headspace enough to think about what are the marketing and sales opportunities that we are overlooking and not taking advantage of because we're just flat out tired and burnt out from all the things that are not providing us with energy. There's not a lot of energy return in admin unless that is your role as an admin assistant. And that is a totally different thing because their joy is in completing that set of tasks to get the outcome. And for us, it's the niggly thing we have to do to get our clients the outcome. So I just want to reiterate that whether you're starting off for the first time saying like, I just need to get a scheduling app for my calendar so that I can book calls or I can send the link to people to book something with me and make it really easy and not have to go back and forth 10 times for an appointment. And I'm sure most of you have done that. Or whether or not you're really thinking about, like I need to upgrade the free thing I have because that's not giving me enough times to be able to use it enough. And now I'm doing things manually. You have to just decide, are you going to be successful? Are you going to get out and build more relationships and get in more audience sharing collaboration opportunities? Are you going to level up your sales funnel and put the time and effort into understanding what the pain points are of your ideal member and knowing how to speak to them and experimenting by rewriting some of those emails and playing with new ways to get your message out and maybe going on platforms. And I know for me, I have been off organic social media pretty much for about a year or more. And I didn't want to get into it unless I felt like I could do it effectively. So I needed to clear up space in my business where I didn't feel like I was constantly scrambling to get everything done, that I actually have time to take on something as big as a project that'll take another few hours a week. And that has come from automation. So automation in a lot of my admin tasks, like my apps talk when somebody purchases something from me on Thrivecart, which is the tool I use. I don't even have all-in-one. I use both Thrivecart that talks to MailerLite, which is my email setup, and those just integrate, which is amazing. So I do nothing there. But then I've got Zapier, connecting the Thrivecart payment trigger to joining my membership, which is hosted on the communities on Heartbeat, and the courses are on New Zenler. And those have to come through a third-party automation. And that's totally fine because it works like a dream most of the time. And when it doesn't always work perfectly, you can usually figure it out. But it does save a lot of time that I would be spending interrupted adding people to things. And so it can be more complex, but it definitely frees up the time from an admin perspective. And then my whole sales system is automated. I mean, not every single one, but for example, I have an evergreen webinar that when people watch, they get invited to join the Scaling Deep Society. And I have ads running to that. And pretty soon I'm going to have organic social running to that. And they can sign up and grow through a really well put together webinar that did take me a ton of time, like months to put together, to come up with something really solid and real and authentic. And I've even redone it a few times. So it is a big effort, but it's running all the time and it's completely automated and making a connection to people when I could not be there long enough and as many times to have that connection to people. And it allows them also to absorb the information about me and how I do things and what I believe in and how I help people with their memberships in their own way and in a passive way, so they don't have to get on a call, especially perhaps maybe they are feeling introverted or they just want to soak it in and they don't really want to make that effort. They just want to watch it on their own time and get a sense of something that they want to learn more about. And that is all automated. And what's that's done for me again is cleared up my time for me to actually settle into, well, maybe I don't need any growth. Maybe I could just kick back and have a pretty light summer and have a schedule that's maybe 15 hours a week. Or I could fill in the next 15 to 20 hours a week with growth activities like getting on organic social or really putting more time into my Facebook ads, which do require time in order to keep them operating properly, or just reaching out with more relationships or asking more questions or even doing more CEO and leadership and self-development activities that I know will make me a better person and better at what I do and more enthusiastic to do the difficult things that I have to do in my business. So that is a choice that I can make because I have automation, and it's just something we really can't avoid. And one thing I'll mention, the last thing I'll mention is that as a solo entrepreneur micro business, we need this more than anyone. We actually need this more than the giant businesses who have teams of people that they can hire out to do the things, because it's actually easier to automate before we delegate. It's less time consuming. And what these large organizations are doing, they are delegating the automation tasks to the setup of those to others. And that is the next phase in it. But ultimately, we can't live without them or we will burn out because we do not have the teams of support to do all the things. But we still need to do all the things in a highly functioning business, whether it's big or small. Things do not get neglected. Everything happens in a system and there's some predictability and repetition. And that's what that will do for you. So I hope this was helpful for you today. I hope this gives you a little bit of a nudge to get out there and take a leap towards your own success and having some faith and belief in that by experimenting with some softwares that will allow you to get out of the admin, technical, disruptive, interrupting, minor little niggly things and get back into your zone of genius, because that's where you need to be spending your time. If you want to go check out the types of automations and software and stuff that I use in my own business, which I highly recommend, you can go on over to scalingdeep.com/resources, and it will share with you all the things I rely on to make my business work and run very smoothly every single day. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you next time.